you dare. The collector, never answer the knock. There's a legend whispered in small towns late at night about a man they called the collector. Nobody knows his real name. Nobody knows where he came from, but they all agree on one thing when he knocks. Never answer, because once you do something of yours will disappear, and it's never something you can afford to lose. This is the story of Miko, a delivery rider in Cavite who works the night shift. Fast, reliable, loves his job despite the creepy routes and empty streets past midnight. One stormy night, a delivery popped up with no location, only a pin dropped in the middle of an unmarked road. Curiosity mixed with obligation, he accepted, thinking it was just a glitch or maybe a prank. But as he followed the route, it led him to an old house far from the highway, barely standing, its walls cracked, its windows broken, yet a single dim light flickered from inside. The moment he stepped near the door opened on its own, a shadow stood behind the doorway, too tall, too thin, its limbs too long, neck bent sideways as if it couldn't hold the weight of its head. A voice rasped from the dark, "Iniwan na nila ang dapat mong kunin." Confused but scared, Miko placed the parcel down, turned to leave, but the voice whispered again, "Bago ka umalis, sagutin mo ang katok." Then a knock echoed loud, clear, not from the door, but from inside his helmet, from behind his ears, from everywhere at once, 3 heavy knocks, tock, tock, tock. Instinct said run, but his body froze, breathing heavy as shadows moved along the walls, stretching, crawling, their hands dragging their fingertips along the wooden panels, leaving deep scratches that seemed to pulse as if the house itself was bleeding. Miko tried forcing his feet to move, but the ground felt heavier, softer, as if his shoes were sinking into something alive. The walls now covered in dozens of handprints, all pointing toward him, fingers twitching, clawing, reaching. Then the air shifted, the light flickered, and the shadow stepped out fully, revealing a figure dressed in torn cloth, face wrapped in what looked like human skin, stitched together, eyes missing, mouth stretched wider than humanly possible, grinning with teeth, too many, too sharp, too long. The collector tilted its head, slowly raised one finger and pointed at Miko, then whispered, "May kinuha ako sa'yo." Suddenly, a pain shot through Miko's chest, like something was pulled out, not physically, not something you could see, but something deep, something essential. The air turned colder, the colors faded, everything around him lost vibrance as if the world dimmed. He stumbled back, tried to run, but every step felt heavier. The ground cracking open, revealing black voids, hands reaching from below, pulling ankles, knees, whispering, begging, laughing all at once. The collector followed slowly, steps light but echoing, louder than thunder. Each footfall sinking deeper into Miko's mind as its shadow stretched, swallowing the street, the trees, the sky, turning everything pitch black, until only Miko remained standing in an empty space surrounded by mirrors. But the mirrors didn't show him. They showed different versions of himself, some younger, some older, some broken, crying, screaming, pounding on the glass as if trapped, each reflection mouthing the same word over and over. Bayad, bayad, bayad. Then from behind, a cold breath against his neck, the voice returned. Isa ka na gayon sa koleksyon. Suddenly, everything shattered. The mirrors breaking into thousands of shards that floated midair, then spun faster, slicing through the void, cutting reality itself before slamming into Miko's body. But instead of pain, everything went numb, then dark, then silence. Morning came. Another delivery rider passed the same road, found nothing. No house, no pin on the map, only a single helmet lying in the middle of the road, scratched, cracked, and inside it, a piece of paper with one sentence written in blood. Huwag Mong sagutin ang katok. Since then, riders in the area report strange things, their GPS freezing, pins dropping into empty lots, delivery addresses leading to roads that don't exist, and sometimes in the dead of night, when they wait for the next booking, a knock echoes from their helmet, talk, talk, talk. Locals warn, never check where it came from, never answer, because the collector still roams, looking for the next name to cross out, the next soul to add to his growing collection. And once you hear the knock, it's already too late, because something of yours, something important, something irreplaceable, will be gone forever. Don't follow the footsteps. Huwag, Mong, Sundan. In a quiet barangay deep in the mountains, there's a tale whispered among the locals about strange footprints that appear out of nowhere. Small, muddy, barefoot prints trailing along the road, past rice fields, over bridges, through narrow pathways, always leading toward the forest, but never coming back. They say if you see them, you must never follow, no matter how curious you are, because those who do are never seen again. Only their footsteps remain, appearing beside the ones that came before. This is the story of Ella, a freelance writer visiting her aunt in the province, hoping for a quiet escape from the noise of the city, away from stress, away from deadlines. Her aunt warned her about the strange things that happen during the rainy season, when the fog rolls in thicker than usual, covering the hills, drowning the trees, making everything look the same. But she laughed, thought it was just superstition, until it happened to her. One morning after heavy rain, Ella woke up early to take photos of the misty mountains. But when she stepped outside, she noticed them, small footprints, wet, fresh, leading away from her aunt's backyard down the dirt road toward the forest. Curiosity won over fear, thinking maybe it was a child or someone lost. She grabbed her camera, followed the trail. Every step into the mud matched perfectly. No drag, no slide, no signs of someone slipping. Only clean, deep prints, as if whoever made them was walking barefoot, straight and steady, even on sharp stones, even through thorns. No blood, no injury, just steps. The farther she went, the quieter everything became. No birds, no insects, no wind. The air thick, heavy, pressing against her skin like invisible hands. The trees bending slightly, as if leaning in, watching, listening. Then the footprints turned left toward an old trail, one the locals always avoided. A narrow path lined with broken bamboo crosses tied with red cloth. Some rotting, some freshly placed, as if someone kept maintaining them. But nobody lived here. No one came here, at least no one alive. Ella hesitated, but the trail seemed to pull her forward. With every step, the fog grew thicker, the sunlight dimmer, the world quieter. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Not hers. Light, small, steady, ahead of her. But when she looked, no one was there. Only the footprints growing fresher, as if made just seconds before. Then a whisper soft, right behind her ear. Sundan mo lang. She spun around, but no one there. The footprints now leading deeper into the trees, into a part of the forest where the ground turned soft, where the mud was darker, thicker, as if mixed with something else, something sticky, something like blood. Suddenly the trees shifted, shadows moving not with the wind, but on their own. Shapes, tall, thin, bending backwards, heads tilted, limbs longer than they should be, crawling between trunks, peeking from behind leaves, watching her silently. Then the footprints stopped right in front of a hollow tree, its trunk split open wide enough for someone to crawl inside. Pitch black inside. No sound, no light, only the smell, damp, rotten, metallic, cold. Ella lifted her camera, snapped a photo, but when she looked at the screen, it didn't show the tree. It showed herself standing alone, surrounded by silhouettes, figures tall, faceless, with arms stretched toward her, mouths open too wide but no sound coming out, only black voids where their faces should be. Then the whisper again, louder, this time from everywhere. Sundan mo, Sundan mo, Sundan mo. Her hands trembled as the ground beneath her shifted, soft mud sinking her shoes, pulling as if the earth itself wanted to swallow her. Then movement from inside the hollow tree, two hands, pale, thin fingers bending the wrong way, pushed out, gripping the edges, pulling something out slowly. First a head, then shoulders, long hair wet, face hidden. Then it lifted its head, revealing a face that wasn't fully formed, skin smooth, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, only a blank surface that slowly began shifting, twisting as if trying to copy her face. It stared at her, then smiled, even without a mouth, a wide grin stretching across the blank surface before it whispered directly into her mind. Isa kana. The ground cracked open, black water pouring from beneath, roots twisting, wrapping around her legs, pulling her down into the mud, as dozens of hands shot up from the earth, grabbing, pulling, scratching, nails digging into skin, not to hurt but to hold, to trap, to drown. Her last scream muffled, swallowed by the fog that closed in tighter until silence. The next day, her aunt searched, called neighbors. They followed the road, found only footprints starting from her backyard, leading all the way to the forest, then stopping abruptly in front of the hollow tree. But no sign of Ella, no signs of struggle. Only her camera sitting on the ground, screen still on, showing the last photo she took. A picture of herself, surrounded by figures in the fog, all staring, all smiling. Locals say the footprints still appear, especially after rain. Small barefoot prints leading toward the same hollow tree. And if you ever see them, you must never follow, never wonder, never check, because the forest always hungers for the curious. And once it has your footsteps, they become part of the trail forever, waiting for the next one to follow. There's a wall hidden deep inside the city, not marked on any map, not shown on satellite images. It stands alone in an empty lot covered in vines, cracked, stained, dark, as if it had been there long before the buildings were ever built. Locals call it the Whispering Wall because anyone who presses their ear against it hears something. Voices, whispers, secrets, sometimes promises, sometimes threats. But they all say the same thing: never listen too long and never answer back. This is the story of Carlo, an architecture student always fascinated by strange urban legends. He believed that every structure has a story, some history hidden within concrete, wood, and stone, stories that outlived the people who built them. When he first heard about the Whispering Wall from an old caretaker near his dorm, he laughed, thought it was just a creepy tale told to scare kids, until the caretaker grabbed his wrist, eyes wide, voice trembling, and said, "Huwag Mong subukan anak, hindi lahat ng pader para sa atin." But curiosity won. Curiosity always does. One evening before sunset, Carlos searched the location, found the empty lot just as described, surrounded by tall grass, piles of broken bricks, metal scraps, and there it was. The wall, standing tall, cold, untouched by time. No graffiti, no cracks wide enough to break it down, just waiting. As he stepped closer, the air shifted colder, heavier, the sound of the city faded, the cars, the voices, the wind, all gone, replaced by silence so deep it made his ears ring. The moment he laid his palm against the wall, it felt warm, like skin, breathing, slow, steady, as if something inside was waiting for him to get closer. Then the whispers began, soft at first, distant, layered, dozens of voices speaking at once, some crying, some laughing, some begging, some chanting, all overlapping like static, blending into a rhythm. Pakinggan mo kami, pakinggan mo kami, pakinggan mo kami. Despite every instinct screaming at him to leave, Carlo leaned in slowly, pressed his ear against the surface, and the sound exploded into his head. No longer whispers, but clear voices, screaming, shouting in unison. Hindi kami makaalis. Ilabas mo kami. Ilabas mo kami. Ilabas mo kami. Images flooded his mind. Flashes of faces distorted, mouths open too wide, eyes hollow, hands pressed against glass, against walls, against something transparent, as if they were trapped inside, looking out, watching him, begging, reaching. He stumbled back, but the wall pulsed again, heartbeat loud, vibrating through the ground, through his feet, through his chest. Then a single voice cut through the noise, deeper, louder, colder than all the others. Huwag kang alis, tapusin mo to. Suddenly, a crack appeared on the surface, thin but growing, spreading like veins across concrete. Then the vines around the wall moved, not with the wind, but on their own, wrapping tighter, twitching, pulling themselves closer toward him. Carlo tried to run, but the ground shifted, softened, as if the grass turned into water, sinking his shoes, roots wrapping around his ankles, wrists. neck, pulling him closer. The wall now vibrating louder, breathing faster, the whispers turning into screams, into laughter, into sobbing, into something he couldn't escape. The crack widened. Something inside pushed against it. Hands, fingers, pale gray, nails, broken skin, torn fingertips bending backwards as they scraped against the inside, trying to break free. Then a face pressed against the crack. Not human, hollow eyes, skin-stretched mouth open, revealing rows of teeth too small, too many, spinning, grinding as it whispered directly into his mind, "Ikaw ang susi, ikaw ang pintuan, ikaw ang sunod." Carlos screamed, pulling himself free, falling backwards, crawling, but the wall kept shifting. Cracks expanding, faces pressing against every gap, dozens, hundreds, mouths opening, closing, whispering, chanting, pulling his name into the rhythm. Carlo, Carlo, Carlo. Sumagot ka, sumagot ka, sumagot ka. Then his phone vibrated, screen flashing random images, none he recognized. Then the camera turned on by itself, recording him, his own reflection on the screen. But something behind him, a tall shadow, hands resting on his shoulders, head tilted, mouth grinning ear to ear, slowly moving closer, whispering, "Sumagot ka na, wag mo kaming iwan dito." The wall burst open, darkness pouring out, not like shadows, not like smoke, but liquid thick, heavy, cold, crawling toward him, grabbing, dragging, swallowing, everything around. Neighbors reported hearing screams that night, but when authorities arrived, the lot was empty. Only the wall remained, but now covered in fresh handprints, smeared from the inside, some small, some large, some impossibly long. And in the center, one word scratched deep into the concrete, "Sumagot." Since then, anyone who passes by reports strange things, phones glitching, footsteps behind them, shadows moving inside their reflection. And sometimes, if they stand too close, they hear a voice whisper directly into their ear, "Pakinggan mo kami." And if you answer, even with just one word, the whispers never stop. They follow you home, fill your head, fill your dreams, fill your silence, until the only way to make them stop is to find someone else, someone curious, someone foolish enough to press their ear against the wall and listen. The girl in the window. Don't look twice. In a small town in Quezon province, there's an abandoned house everyone knows, but no one dares to enter its wooden walls. Rotten its roof, broken, its windows shattered except for one. The window on the second floor always perfectly clean, never cracked, always glowing faintly, even at night. They say if you pass by and look up, you'll see her, the girl in the window. Nobody knows who she is. Some say she's the spirit of a child who died in a fire. Others whisper she was never human at all, just something pretending to be something that waits, watches, calls to those who dare glance too long. Because the rule is simple, look once then turn away. Never, ever look twice. This is the story of Jomar, a tricycle driver who often passes by that road every night, always avoiding eye contact with the window. Until one evening, his phone buzzed with a strange message. No name, no number, just a text that read, "Tumingin ka sa bintana." At first he laughed, brushed it off, continued driving. But as he approached the old house, his headlights flickered, the engine sputtered, the air grew heavier, colder. The laughter of children faded. The wind stopped, dead. Silence wrapped around him like a blanket. And before he could stop himself, his eyes drifted upward toward the window. There she was, a girl, standing still, wearing a white dress, hair covering most of her face, only one eye visible, staring wide, unblinking mouth slightly open, as if caught mid-whisper. Her skin pale, almost gray, lips cracked, dry hands pressed against the glass, fingers twitching slowly. A sudden rush of fear hit him. His heartbeat raced. He forced himself to look away, gripped the handlebars tighter, tried to drive, but the engine refused to start, clicking, sputtering, dying, then buzzing again. His phone lit up, the same message, now repeating itself, over and over. Tumingin ka sa bintana. Tumingin ka sa bintana. Tumingin ka. His hands trembled, sweat dripping down his face, eyes locked forward, refusing to look again. But the feeling grew stronger, heavier, like something was crawling behind him, breathing on his neck, waiting, whispering. Then a soft knock from the window behind him. Not his tricycle window, the one on the second floor. 3 slow knocks. Talk, talk, talk. A voice, soft, sweet, broken, drifted into his ear. Bakit hindi ka tumingin ulit? His fingers tightened around the throttle, foot kicking the starter, panic building. But the engine coughed and died again. Then the knocking grew louder, faster, not from the house anymore, but from every direction. From the roof, the ground, the trees surrounding him, even inside his helmet. Talk, 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 talk. Then movement in the rearview mirror. A figure stepping down from the window, walking slowly, backwards, knees bending the wrong way, arms dangling, head tilted, her face, now fully visible, stretched skin, torn lips, stitched shut but still smiling, blood seeping from. Yomar screamed, kicked the starter again. The engine roared to life, tires screeching as he bolted down the road. But the shadows didn't stop following, shapes darting between trees, hands reaching from the roadside, scraping the mirrors, tapping the sides, whispering, laughing, crying all at once. His phone vibrated nonstop, screen glitching, flashing random faces, some human, some not. Eyes, too many mouths opening where eyes should be, noses missing, skin melting, twisting, reshaping into something that barely resembled people anymore. Then a message flashed across the screen in bold red letters, Tumingin Ka. His headlights flickered, died, the road vanished, swallowed by blackness, then footsteps behind, louder, faster, closer. His rearview mirror showed her again, running, not walking, not floating, running, full speed on all fours, limbs bending, breaking, snapping, but never stopping, mouth stretched open, wider than any human jaw should ever go, teeth sharp, jagged, filling every inch of space as she screamed, not with sound, but with pressure, a deafening silence that crushed his ears. Jomar closed his eyes, gritted his teeth, twisted the throttle full. The wind burned his face, but the road never ended. It looped again and again, every turn leading back to the same house, the same window, the same girl, now standing in the middle of the road, smiling, arms open, as if welcoming him home. Brakes, screamed, too late. The tricycle skidded, flipped, crashed, everything went black. When locals found the wreck the next morning, the tricycle was twisted, mangled, but Jomar was gone. No body, no blood, just his phone, lying perfectly placed on the seat. Screen cracked, but still glowing, with one message stuck on the screen, Tumatingin Paranako. Since then, drivers passing by avoid the road, especially after sundown, but those unlucky enough to glance up at the window swear they still see her, standing, watching, waiting. And if you make the mistake of looking twice, the second look is always the one you regret. Because the girl in the window doesn't like to be ignored. And once she notices you, she never lets go. If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching, and remember, whatever happens, don't look back.